Another question? Okay.
Well, first, related to your question and question before, we believe that this is a long-term process that we are doing. At least we don't have the power to change the situation immediately, but it's kind of education to educate the public and to educate the people in both sides in order to understand more how the future will be and should be, and they will together build the constitution of the future, if you want, or the way that people should live in the future. I understand we conducted many workshops. Only one maybe mentioned the army. The army is the last thing that people could think about if they want to think about life. And you are correct regarding the number of the refugees, which was doubled 10 times since 1948. And many places inside the state of Israel today, many places supposed to be 10 times bigger than it was, they were in 1948. And in normal situation, if they had been there, remaining there, you will see them connecting villages connected to one place or one city or one town. We understand that the place that you will come to will be different than the place that you left already. This is what I said, these ideas challenging not only the Israeli fears from return, because we explore where the fear is in racist points, but on practical you can build a new society, and we also challenge the Palestinian dream. Most of the Palestinians, of course, who live abroad, outside of Palestine, still dream about the paradise that the grandfather, grandmother left in 1948. That it's not exist anymore, and we shocking them that we telling the reality on the ground will lead you to come back to a different place, and different place will give other ideas. Instead of building each specific village, you can build one big city, and all the refugees from these places could live there. Of course, when you need to build a place, you will look at the population and the needs of the population. So you will not need farms like you did at 1948. You need new places, a new reality, and you will create a new state or new space according to these needs. What was the other question?
Jewish state minority.
Oh, yeah. Well, if we think based on the situation today, we will not go far away with this question of the respect or the Jewish rights. If I look back to the long history, most of the time when Jewish and non-Jews, with Jewish, Muslims and Christians in the Middle East lived, most of the time they lived peacefully. Most of the time you can read about excellent relationship between Jewish and Arabs in the Middle East. On the 15th century, when the Jewish were expelled from Spain, the place that had the Jewish expelled people was the Middle East, the Ottoman Empire and the Arab countries and the Muslim countries. So we need to go out from this box that we all are stuck in the terms of today of occupation, Israel, Jewish state, all these, because with these terms we will not go far. We need to dismantle these terms, dismantle this concept in order to think about a different situation. My answer is yes. I believe that we can live together with respect to all rights for all the groups and religious and ethnic groups on the place.
I have a question.
Maybe if I can have a remark before, short remark. Allow me to be in slight disagreement with my friend Omar. I mean, I'm an old companion of Zochrot, and we work together. We had the occasion to work together and to build up a project together. But there is a point which I'm taking my lesson, which is this idea of the practicalities of return, which is we have to remember that the right of return is an individual right. It's not a collective right. First of all, it's not a collective right. It's the individual right. It's a right of each person concerning his own desire and wish. Of course, the demand today, the Zionist demand, or the Israeli demand of the Palestinians to renounce of the right of return, it's an absurd in terms of logic. I mean, you cannot renounce on a right that you cannot have, right? So one of the arguments that you'd be interested in said, give us the right, and then we will negotiate this renunciation, but we cannot renounce on something that we don't have. But those practicalities of return, and I think that here there is a big mistake, and it divides Palestinian opinion on one hand and researchers. On one hand, they were the one that says, we came from a village, we have the right to come back to the village, there are people that are living now in the village, we will live next to that village, and we will be, because the principle is not injustice in the name of justice, which of course we agree. But what happens if the Palestinian doesn't want, if the Palestinian is today a scholar in Columbia University in mathematics, that of course his grandfather came from a village, a village that is Israeli, and he doesn't want to become a falah again. Would he have the right to come and to live in Tel Aviv, in the rich areas of Tel Aviv? And this idea of working in the return within the fears and phantasm of Zionism itself, for me, it's a huge mistake. For me, I'm saying, and for others which are interviewed in my film. Well, what it means, we're coming today to the Palestinians and we say, okay, you lived 60 years in the diaspora, all these 60 years, now you're erased. You come back, you will be under your tree, and if you cannot get your tree, you will be in the next tree. Of course not. The idea is to return to Palestine. It's the right to return, and each Palestinian will live as he wants. And if you want to live in Jerusalem and to work in Amman, it doesn't take more time than the place to go from Menil-Monton in the east of Paris to the west of Paris. So the return, I mean, and also this idea of coming and saying 7 million refugees will return. This is exactly what the Zionists are saying. 7 million refugees, it's impossible. What? All the refugees want to come, all the grandsons want to come, all the Israelis that took, the 100,000 Israelis that took German passport in the name of the defense in case that something wrong happens in the Middle East. What a joke of history, of course, to go to take a Czech, a German, a Polish passport as a security. All those Israelis went to live in Germany, Poland, and Czechoslovakia, or went, even if they went to live in Germany, they went to say, this is my house, I want my house, and if not, I want to live exactly in the neighborhood. Yeah, no. One of the ideas of the return is the idea of the belonging, and each Palestinian will decide if he wants to live in the very chic Yapi or other places in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, and there was no Palestinian there 60 years ago, we will allow him in the name of progress. So I think that one of the things is to go out from the Zionist narrative of the return, because it's not by taking the Zionist narrative of the return and showing it's possible, there is enough place. It's not a question of place, it's a question of willing. About the Jewishness of the state, the Jewish democratic state is a racist and cannot be democratic in definition. So of course we can discuss, I would say, no, it's not true, and I'm sure that there are people that will defend and say it can be Jewish and democratic. And I'm challenging this idea by saying, if it's a woman that defends that, would she agree to live in a masculine democratic state? And if it's a man that defend a position that Jewish democratic can be democratic, would he accept to live in a feminine democratic state? Which means it's a state that belongs to male, but women will have the same kind of right. This is the proposal of Jewish democratic. No, the idea of the idea of Jewish democratic. Jewish state means white state. In fact, it means non-Arab. And one of the things, and this is the thing of the question of the minority of the Jews, is a return to the Orient. It's not seeing Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and France as the future, in case, but starting to think back into the history of the Middle East itself. And if still there is a fear about it, so I think that one of the ideas, I mean, I'm throwing it to the floor as an idea, is to ask the European community that this new state, Palestine, Israel, Palestine, will become an integral part of the European Union. And in this case, we will apply all the rights of minorities, which are so why not? I mean, Israel is already halfway in the European Union, playing football in Europe, playing, singing in the Eurovision, part of the OECD, etc. will continue. So the idea is to take this new state, to put it inside Europe. Unfortunately, Europe will have to get some Jews back, bad luck, and some Arabs more, bad luck again. But then the Europeans, in the norm of history and human rights, we will know to defend the rights of the Jewish minority, don't they?
I didn't see where the disagreement between us, except one thing. I agree that people should and could choose where to live. They will not go back 65 years in their life. Regarding the number, morally we cannot limit the number. I'm not sure if it's possible or impossible, but 7 million, of course, we know that some of them will not return. But in advance, you cannot say, I can accept just this number, but not all the refugees. In principle, we...
No, on the contrary, Omar, I'm for opening completely and in fact stopping playing Luna Park and saying how we look the villages, because one of the things that we have to remember and we have to teach that in fact Palestine was in a moment, it was destroyed and a moment of modernization. And what we are coming to say, you came from a village, we will come back for a village. The village will look better. No, why to come back to a village? To come to an ugly tower of metal and glass? This is to come back. And this idea that we are coming back, it means that we are returning to the past, is something which is very strange for me.
It's all fine, but it's the decision of each individual refugee. So he has the right to implement his right of return, and he has the right not to do so, and he has the right to demand his private land and to ask what to do with that, or to live the closest place to that, or to live in big city. By the way, in English, it sounds nice. Many Palestinians saying, I'm not going back to my private land, I'm going back to my homeland.
Yeah. And I would add to that another principle that will be interesting is stopping any kind of expulsion. And this is a big challenge, which means is to go out of that illusion of the displacement, forced displacement of the settlers, the new settlers, because we are all settlers. I mean, there are those who are settled 60 years and those who are 40. But the left, the Zionist left, and many solidarity movement, they want the expulsion of those settlers of 46 years, the one in the occupied territories in 67, as if the others they are not settlers. I'm saying nobody will be displaced anymore. And this is a condition. Nobody, the settlements are there, they are as horrible as the kibbutzes were in the 40s and the 50s. Tough luck. And the question will be the democratization of the space. And if some Palestinians would like to go to live with the settlers, we will say
Very few questions to finish.
Mr. Sivan, please, what is the way to get there? How do you see the Israeli lose their nuclear deterrence and all the military strong, powerful capability as say, okay, let's accept 7 million Arabs into the country state. You can refer it as much as you want. And my second thing, don't you think that after 65 years of conflict, there is some psychological aspect, psychological resistance between two nations that I personally come from a family that my cousins, three cousins died in a suicide bomber attack a few years ago, and on the other side, there's a lot of families that Israeli aircraft killed their members. And how do you emerge those kind of those kind of cultures together?
And I'd like to ask, please, if you have 7 million refugees and you expect maybe, let's say, a third to come back, only just over 2 million people, and they want to go back to their villages, and there are people living there, what court deals with this? And who pays for this court? And how do we give birth in a few months to thousands of judges? And how do you help an already under pressure financial system cope with such an influx of people that, and by the way, I must say, I'm very much in favor of most of the things you've said. I'm anti-Zionist and I think the Jewish state is racist, and I'm Jewish. But in practice, if we do this, and 10,000 Jews don't agree, it's going to be much more, and they throw a bomb, what's going to happen? Like a civil war will start instantly, probably. Wouldn't it make more sense, maybe, to support the two-state solution, which is imperfect, but with time might lead to a neutralization, or I'm not sure the word, but normalization of the relationship, and ease the tension and have generations grow with less racism in our school systems. We will still have it, but now I can't see also many of my friends, and if I try to see my friends from the Palestinian friends I made here, I can't see how they can reconcile all this instantly and not just go into war.
Okay. Well, if you believe on that, you will find all the reasons why to do that and how to do that. If you don't believe, so it's blocked. All right. Good start. If you look at the Zionist project, what you call the creation of Israel, who could believe in the beginning of the 20th century that millions of Jews will come to Palestine and settle there and create a new state and even do what we describe here? Who could believe? Sorry?
There was war. Many people died. Many Palestinians became refugees. I don't think it was a good start for a state. I don't wish for it to happen again.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I agree with you. But you saying that the future that we dream on based on very peaceful situation and there is no war there. There is a war. There is 70 years of war, 70 years of oppression, of racism, of discrimination. The Palestinians suffering for all this time. I can understand that it's more difficult for the Israelis or who looks at the situation today as a normal state could not think about the destruction. Even changing the situation will be considered as destruction of the state because the privileged side, which are the Israelis and the Jewish in Israel, will not accept even to be equal to the others. I'm not telling to make the situation in opposite the situation of today. It's just to be equal because they are privileged, because they are